Hey, what's happening? This is Pastor Wes Pennington, and you're at the Rally Point. Thank you so much for checking it out, for coming in and just joining with me. Have you ever had a moment in your prayer when you might be in prayer and God interrupts your prayer with a thought? Well, that's what happened to me this morning. I was in prayer, and then all of a sudden, God interrupted my prayer with a thought. And that thought had to do with tribes. I know a lot of you guys have heard, if you've heard me before, you heard my story on how God kind of gave me a vision for Rally Point. And the vision started with God showing me tribes, showing me that all the men's ministries, that all of the ministries were in tribes, because God was talking to me about men of God. And I asked God, where are all the men of God? And he said to me that there are a lot of them out there, but they're in tribes all over, and not one tribe talking to the other, tribes feeling as though they're alone, that they're doing this on their own. And there was this tribe mentality that is going on in the ministry. So God called Rally Point to come in and create a nation. I'm kind of a history buff. So as I look back on history, I see when the Roman Empire was at its height and they were conquering all over the world, and they could not overcome the German tribes in Germania. Is what they called it. And the the Romans were being successful in tribes. But one man came out and decided to gather the tribes together to make a nation. And once they did that, everything changed. They defeated the mighty Roman Empire, and the rest is history. And the Lord showed me that, and I was like, wow. When they were in tribes, when the German people were in tribes, they weren't effective. They weren't able to touch the world. They were effective within their own little groups, but they weren't effective in a broader scheme of things, in a broader, much more effective way of a nation of the world. And it was the same way with our men's ministries, our women's ministries, our churches, that everyone's in little tribes and they're working independently of each other. And yeah, they're being effective within their group, but we're not affecting the world. We're not making change in the world. Mark 12, verse 31 says, love your neighbor as yourself. And, when Jesus is saying this, he's not saying love your tribe. He's not saying love those in your circle. He's not saying love those that love you. He's not saying love those that you like and that go to your church. No, he's saying love your neighbor as you love yourself. That includes everyone. That includes those that don't like you. That includes those that are not in your tribe. That includes those that don't live in your community. That includes those that don't go to your church. Man, that's a revelation, right? Because we've been brought up into a society, into a world built on tribes, built on the tribe mentality. This is ours. This is what we do. This is how we do it. We do it better than everyone else. The tribe mentality, you know the one. But God said, Jesus said, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Man, that's powerful. And one might say hard to do. But I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you to love your neighbor as you love yourself. Step outside of the borders of your tribes. Step outside of the boundaries of your communities to touch those that are outside of it, so that we can come together, a nation of believers that make a difference in the world. We're not just called to be effective in our small communities. We're called to be effective in the world. We're called to be world changers. And we've settled into this acceptance of just being effective in my little area. And God's called you to be greater. See, the truth of it is, is that when we're operating within the limitations of our tribes, we're not even accessing the supernatural abilities of God. God is when we step into the place where we could never attain, where we can never accomplish. When we step into that place of greater, that's when God steps in, and that's when we start to see miracles happen. Maybe we're not seeing a lot of miracles because we're operating within the limitations of our tribes. We're operating within the limitations of our small groups, which is something that we can control, which is something that we can do. God's not going to come in if you can do it. He's going to come in when it's outside of you, when it's greater than you. So break the tribe mentality. Break it. And step into the village mentality, which is that we all take care of each other. We all watch over each other. We all protect each other. Now we're coming into this season of New Year where there's a lot of parties that are happening. There's a lot of get-togethers. It's a time of festivities, and everyone's really in a good mood and happy, which means that there's a possibility that people may overdrink, may overdo substances, whatever that may be, and then get behind the wheel of a car and drive. Now, one of my things is, as a state trooper for years, is to fight against impaired driving, and soon to become the program director for Mothers Against Drunk Driving in Rhode Island, to fight against this as well. So I want to encourage you that if you love your neighbor, break free from your tribe mentality and watch over each other these upcoming holidays, as the celebrations, the parties, the festivities, the family gatherings come together. Break free of your tribe mentality and take care of each other. Don't let your friend, don't let your neighbor, don't let that person that you even see sitting at the bar or at the party that's had too much to drink and you don't even know who they are, and you watch them get into their car and drive away. Don't let that happen. Loving your neighbor sometimes means doing the hard thing, doing the thing that no one else wants to do. That's loving your neighbor. You would do it for yourself. You would save yourself. That's what it means to love your neighbor as yourself. So I want to encourage you this holiday season. Take care of each other. Love your neighbor. Break free of this tribe mentality. We have to become a nation if we want to see the world change. Is there anybody that wants to see the world change? I want to see the world change, and not for worse, but for better, for the sake of the gospel, for the sake of Jesus Christ, who has called us out for this purpose, to change the world. You are a world changer, but you didn't know that. You are. Stop being confined within your tribe and start stepping out to change the world. Huh. Hey, listen, my brothers. We have our Rally Point Men's Breakfast coming up January 7th at 10 a.m. at Sacred Exchange Fellowship, 75 Division Road, Warwick, Rhode Island. I want to encourage you all, put that on your calendar, mark it. In Woodruff, that's going to bring the word for us, and we're going to have our breakfasts are phenomenal. So it's free. Come on out, guys, and let's bond together. Let's start 2023 off by breaking the tribe mentality, coming together for food for your body and food for your soul, so that we can start this next year off stepping into the supernatural places where God wants to bring us, so that we can be world changers. Hey, and we have our Rally Point Men's Conference coming up in June. It's going to be called Men of Hope Conference. The Men of Hope Conference. That's coming up in June. Really hope that you are there. More information is going to come out about that real soon, so that you can put that in your calendars and you can make sure that you're there. Men of Hope Conference coming in June. The Rally Point Men of Integrity, Men of Hope Conference. Hey, God bless you. Have a safe, and joyful holiday season. And please, watch out for each other. Don't let your brother, your sister get behind the wheel of a car impaired. And when I say brother and sister, I'm not talking about your biological family. I'm talking about your godly family. For we're all brothers and sisters. Bless you. This is Pastor Wes Pennington. you've been to the Rally Point. See you again real soon.